Is past Umno tension coming to a head? Islamist party says ready to cut ties. And around the world, record numbers of people are leaving their jobs. Has the Great Resignation hit Malaysia? More of that coming up. Over 500,000 children aged 5 to 11 in the country have registered for the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine by their parents as of yesterday. This is about 15% of the total 3.6 million. Health Minister Khairy Jamaluddin in a tweet said that Selangor had the highest registration with over 131,000 registered, while Labuan the lowest with 900 kids registered. Khairy aimed for half of the total amount to be vaccinated by the end of the month. He assured parents that they need not worry as appointment booking links were being pushed based on the date of registration. The rollout for the COVID-19 immunization program for children kicks off tomorrow in the Klang Valley at hospitals and integrated vaccination centres. PAS says it is ready to cut ties with Umno, citing betrayal by certain factions within Umno as the cause for the party to reconsider its cooperation. Party Information Chief Khairil Nizam Kiruddin says the rift between the Muafakat national partners has created disunity among Muslims. He said the betrayals include causing the collapse of the previous Perikatan national government and triggering a number of state elections have led PAS to reconsider its cooperation. Speaking during a dialogue session with Bersatu Information Chief Datuk Wan Saiful Wanjan, Khairil Nizam, however, acknowledged that the blame should not go to UMNO as a whole, but rather the faction of leaders embroiled in court cases. The Dewan Negara senator warned that his party's patience has limits, and if there is strong support to cut ties with UMNO, an emergency assembly will be called and the resolution taken there will be tabled at the PAS Shura Council. PAS's relationship with UMNO has taken a turn for the worse in recent months, with PAS teaming with Bersatu for the Johor state elections after cooperating with the party in the Malacca state polls last year. Around the world, record numbers of people are leaving their jobs in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. What is driving this talent uprising, and has the Great Resignation hit Malaysia? We speak to Kincentric Malaysia's market leader, Ridhima Kanduja.
I would say that the numbers are showing, if not already hit, it will hit. One of the reasons why I say that is, so Kincentric has been doing this employee engagement studies for over 60 years. And it's been long. We have a lot of longitudinal data that we've been seeing. What we see here is in Malaysia, at one point at the peak of COVID, companies were really nice to their employees. Everybody was being protective as a stay at home. That was 2020, second, third quarters. And employee engagement was at highest best. It had a 10% improvement actually at a market level. But seeing 2021, now it's the first time we've gone even lower than our pre-pandemic days. So employee engagement scores are usually a factor that results into resignation. It predicts that people will resign because the sentiments are already there.
The Great Resignation, with some calling it the Great Reshuffling, are forcing business leaders to relook their strategies.
I think what people would expect is flexibility. I think people need balance. People want to see that if we were all okay working from home 2 years back when pandemic hit, what has gone so bad suddenly? Why everybody wants to go back to office? I think employees are expecting that empathy. People are expecting flexibility. If companies are willing to rethink their model of employment, to have a hybrid workplace, to see that you can work with the flexibility with mothers, with young employees, with elderly, trying to work from anywhere, then we're not going to lose this talent. Otherwise, this talent is going to look for alternate options.
While employees want more flexibility in the workplace, what can leaders do to provide a hybrid environment at the same time keeping workers motivated?
You need to look into 3 extra things besides cost. You need to look into employee experience. Because managing people virtually or in hybrid is not the same of when the employee is in front of you. How will you evaluate performance? How do you engage with them? How do you create collaboration? So employee experiences have to be completely redefined. So there's a lot of work for HR and leaders. Second, you have to redefine your people processes. So what do you reward? Because you want to, it's what kind of behaviors is more, should I show up in camera, not show up? Is that a good behavior or a bad behavior? So a lot of recognition mechanisms, people practices have to be reevaluated. Third, leaders need to learn how to engage. One of the biggest predictor of engagement has been leadership communication. And in that, our leaders need to learn new skills on how to be inspiring, charming, motivating for our colleagues when they are giving the same messages virtually versus standing in a big hall when all lights and glitz can kind of take you around when you are in a big auditorium. So it's a new set of skill set leaders need to learn.
Hybrid work is beyond the where we work. It is also about the when we work. As such, boundaries need to be redefined in order to support a healthy and productive work-life well-being.
But now work-life integration is creeping into my personal time. I want that boundary. I don't want that integration anymore. That's what employees are asking for. So we need to recalibrate as our approach in engaging with people based on boundaries. And second is, as I said, purposeful organizations will do very well. That's why a lot of our clients who are more proactive are thinking about cultural transformations. They're genuinely thinking that to address to this organization, I need to change every part of mine. And that's proactive, that you change before it hits you back.
More in a few minutes. Stay tuned.
Semua yang terjadi adalah berita, tetapi tiada siapa yang boleh bawakan yang terkini dan tergempar seperti kami.
Dilihat hanya memberi wang tanpa matlamat yang tepat. Dia tidak melakukan apa-apa kesalahan.
Untuk mendapatkan jawapan yang bermakna, kita perlu soalan yang tepat.
Amat sedih dengan apa yang berlaku kat atas.
Tiada ruang untuk berita palsu.
Negara kita telah merekodkan kes harian baru sebanyak
hanya fakta yang diberikan.
Amat penting untuk meneruskan perjuangan negara melawan pandemik ini.
Sentiasa memastikan suara anda, suara rakyat didengari.
Kenapa?
Membawakan apa yang penting di mana sahaja anda berada.
Kerana kita hendak putuskan rantaian jangkitan.
Belanjawan dan pendekatan bertemakan survival ini secara keseluruhan.
Teruskan bersama kami, Astro AWANI, saluran berita yang paling dipercayai rakyat Malaysia.
Kita berhadapan dengan situasi pandemik yang agak luar biasa. It's self-control, self-lockdown tu.
Welcome back with developments in the UK. A senior Conservative lawmaker says he is planning to submit a letter of no confidence in Boris Johnson. The Prime Minister is facing increasing pressure to resign over the Partygate scandal, where he and his staff hosted and attended parties held during lockdown last year.
Tobias Elwood was the latest Conservative lawmaker to say he would submit a letter of no confidence in Johnson, joining other colleagues who had done the same in the past week. Elwood said the scandals were distracting from Britain's response to major issues such as the crisis in Ukraine. At least 54 Conservative MPs must submit letters to set up a vote on the PM's future. On Monday, senior civil servant Sue Gray submitted a report on parties at Johnson's offices and residence, while millions of Britons were under COVID-19 lockdown between May and April last year. The report cited great failures of leadership and judgment at a time of international crisis. Johnson responded with an apology soon after, pledging to make changes at his office.
The 2022 Winter Olympics torch relay kicked off in Beijing today in a scaled-down event held under strict SOPs. Beijing is gearing up to host the Games in 2 days against a backdrop of diplomatic boycotts and COVID concerns. Over 1,000 torchbearers will carry the flame through competition areas in Beijing and Zhangjiakou ahead of the opening ceremony on Friday. Among the first runners in the relay was Luo Jihuan, an 80-year-old former speed skater champion. Audiences for the torch relay will be strictly limited, with China encouraging its people to follow the event online. China, still pursuing a zero-COVID strategy, is taking no chances with the Olympics. The event is being held within a strict sealed bubble with no contact between participants and the public to stop any infections leaking into the wider population. Multiple countries, including the US, Australia, Britain and Canada, have announced diplomatic boycotts of the Games over China's human rights record. New COVID cases in Tokyo exceeded 20,000 for the first time, dimming hopes that an infection wave fueled by Omicron is peaking out in Japan. Usage rate of hospital beds, meanwhile, for COVID-19 patients also edged up to 51.4%. Officials previously said that a state of emergency would be needed if the rate reached 50%. But Prime Minister Fumio Kishida ruled out an emergency for now and said that the decision will depend on the number of serious cases and other factors. Disaster-hit Tonga has gone into its first ever lockdown after 2 port workers tested positive for COVID-19. The lockdown came days after the island nation began receiving foreign aid in the wake of a deadly volcanic eruption. The eruption that also generated huge tsunami waves killed 3 people in Tonga. Countries had been delivering aid to the island nation, where volcanic ash had contaminated drinking water of tens of thousands of people. An Australian Navy ship was known to have at least 23 COVID cases on board when it docked in Tonga last week while delivering aid. But Australian authorities said its warship did not bring COVID-19 to the island nation. Crew members aboard 8 flights from Japan also reported infections. Tonga had recorded only 1 previous COVID case. At least 5 people died after an abandoned coal mine in eastern India collapsed during illegal digging. Rescuers are still searching for more that are missing, feared to be trapped. Authorities said that the bodies of 4 women and 1 man were recovered. The mine was abandoned 15 years ago, but people still extract coal in hazardous conditions. Coal mining remains one of the most dangerous professions in the country. According to government data, 1 coal miner died on the job every 12 days on an average in 2020. And that is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get all the latest news from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching. Good night.